do. Hi everybody, welcome to Deep Practice. This is Tuesday night, August 9th, 2016. We didn't meet last week because I was out of town, up in the mountains, and so we decided we would skip last week and we would meet twice this week, once tonight and once on Thursday. So to make that up. So regular session here. And I think everything is fine. Let's take a look at the agenda. So we got two member questions. I was actually going to do it on one of them on Thursday, but I think I'll do it tonight instead, because it's easy to get through. Then we'll do some deep practice. Actually, we will use one of the members' questions for deep practice. I think that'll be helpful. You'll see why in a moment. Now we'll take a look at the current market. I was going to do a lesson in higher time frame, multiple time frames, but I'm going to push that off to Thursday because of the questions that we had. So we won't do this tonight. We won't do this tonight. We'll do this on Thursday. We'll have some fun with that. All right, so let's take a look at member question number 1. We have 2 here. So kind of a long, I don't know, is he in here? Oh, I don't see him, but that's okay. He'll just pick up on the recording. So I'm still no better off in terms of how to most efficiently organize 12 to 15 stocks on a watch list, and if I can link them somehow to one desktop with a setup of monthly, weekly, daily, and 240-minute charts, 4-hour charts. And he says, ideally, I'd like to link them to another desktop that would have a workspace where the stock would overlay the underlying index on the same panel, but unsure if this can be done in TradeStation. And he said, I'm trying to avoid opening a desktop of workspaces saved for each individual stock. Right, that makes sense. And then the next question would be, would I have to change the Weiss wave retracement values for individual stocks? Okay, so a lot of questions here. All pertaining really, it's kind of how do you use TradeStation to to be most effective for the Wyckoff method. So it's actually fairly simple to do. First thing you want to do is you open up a new workspace. Okay. And so that gives us a new workspace. I don't know if you can see it down here for those of you who don't have TradeStation. This is probably very similar on most charting packages. Now, he says, I want to track 12, 15 stocks, but I don't want to have 12 or 15 stocks workspaces opened up all along here. And that makes sense, because that would be a lot of charts, a lot of workspaces to manage, and it's easy just to do it with one workspace. And so TradeStation now has this thing called Trading Apps. I guess it got excited by Apple's app stuff, and so you click on this. It used to just be a drop down on the menu bar, which made it easier. But now they have it as an app, and it floats around, and it's kind of a pain in the neck. But so let's open up a chart here. Actually, no, let's not start with that. Let's start with, we need a list of stocks, okay? So an easy way to do it is through the quote screen. And that's this thing here. Just click on that, and it gives you, you can change all these around to however you want them. You can format the columns. You can format all this stuff. You can format all the techniques. You can so you can say, I don't want net change or net percentage change. I don't want the bid or the ask or the high or the low. All I want is the last on this. And so you can just change it to that. Okay, easy enough to do. And you want to populate this now with symbols. So you can do it by hand if you want to. if you've got 10 or 12 or 15 stocks that you are interested in. So for example, you can put in IBM, you can put in Caterpillar, you can put in Microsoft, and so on and so forth. You just type in the symbol names. But an easier way to do that, and just to show you, you can insert a symbol list. And you go to, I think it's TradeStation symbol list. You can create your own custom lists if you want to. You can import stuff out of Reuters. You can do a whole bunch of different things, but this is just easy to do this way. We're going to just put the Dow indexes in here. Is this what I want? Yeah, here's the here's the Dow Industrial Average, Dow Jones Industrial Average. And so here are the symbols, all the symbols, Apple, American Express, Boeing, Caterpillar, Cisco, all of that, right? So you can just say, okay, that's what I want, and bang, there's your symbol list. All 30 of the Dow stocks right there in your quote list or your radar screen. All right, and it says 32 here. It's got a title on here, and it has the industrial average right up top. Okay, so now let's open a chart. We've got our symbols, and you can modify this any way you want. You can delete, you can add, you can however you want to have your symbols here. It's no big deal. But now let's add a chart. So we add a chart here, and let's make this a daily chart up here. Make it simple. We'll add in, well, let's not add in anything yet. Okay, so here's a daily chart, but he wants to have monthly, weekly, and daily. All right, oh, and I think 240 as well. So simple thing to do is just copy the window here. That's basically copying your chart. You can paste it a few times here. So that would be monthly, weekly, daily, and 240. Okay, and then we can arrange them vertically by going to this window up here, arrange them all vertically. And of course, it makes them backwards, so you just click on these and click this, the last, and rearrange them again, and now they're on a little bit easier. Okay, and so now you want one to be weekly, one to be monthly, and one to be 240, which the easy way to do that is to go into TradeStation and just make it 240 minutes. And there we are. Okay, so now if you want 240 over to the left, let's see how you would do that. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's see if that works. There we go. So the last ones you click on are going to be on the right hand side. So you can always change these around however way you'd like. Okay. Kamisha says that you can create a list by doing a column in Excel and then copy the column and paste the list. Yeah, easy way to do that. That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. So now that we have this in here, how do we change? Wouldn't it be nice if we can go from Apple to Nike to McDonald's, however we want? Well, it's very simple to do. Here on the top of your chart window, there's what's called a symbol window list, and it's not linked. Here you've got it on every one. The other is an interval, so you can change you can have the same interval if you want. But what we want to do is we want to set this up so we have the same symbol. So the way to do that is just have it drop down. You can make it any color your heart desires. We're just going to be simple and use the green. and green, and green, and green, and green. Okay. So now I want Apple. All I do is click on Apple and see everything goes to Apple. All right, let's crunch this down a little bit. Why am I forgetting? Oh, sorry. I've been working in multi-charts and I forget how TradeStation works. So you can see that here Apple, now using these charts like this, you can see Apple was in a situation back in in the beginning of, what was this? Oh, this is way back. I'm sorry. This is monthly. So back in the end of April, beginning of May, we had a spring situation, then a test of that, and so you can now you can see that occurring. Not on the 240, we'd have to get more data, actually on the daily as well. All right, let's get some more data. 2 years back, that should be enough, right? What happened here? Oh, there we go. Yeah, so you can see on the weekly, it actually shows up nicely on the weekly, right? Crunch this down a little bit. We have a picture perfect spring that sets up here on Apple. Oh, come on. This is why I didn't really want to use different charting packages, but so you can see this is very nice on the weekly chart, and your target is to go up above this level here on Apple. Okay, so that will allow you can look at 8 or 10 or 15 different stocks, however many you'd like. You can set up different charts of this, or different ways to set this up, but this is a simple way of doing it. And you can, here's Bank of America, you can go down to Merck, the drug company, or Nike, as we said. There's Travelers, Union Pacific, and so on and so forth. So pretty straightforward stuff, right? Pretty straightforward stuff. Now, and you can adjust these charts. I just have them all going at the same level here, but you can adjust them so that the daily, you see more on the daily or the weekly. You can fiddle around with this however way you like. Now, if you want to have let's say on the daily, let's say on the daily, let's put it there. We're going to insert a symbol in TradeStation. You can have up to, I think it's 50 symbols. Maybe it's even more than that on one chart. Okay, I used to build the Weiss wave with 12 or 15 symbols, 10 symbols, I forget. But you can easily do this. You can say you want the parent index, which would be the Dow 30, right? And you want to plot that, and it's going to automatically set it up. Let's format this. I'll leave it in a different color, but let's put it in a bigger color for you. Try that. So you can see that and now you can adjust the chart a little bit so that they're 50-50. And so now you have a situation where you can now look at relative strength and weakness. This stock is weaker than the parent index. And so if you think that the market is going to turn down, then this would be a good spot to short. I'm not suggesting that. I think it's got more upside to go, but you can see here, if you were seeing the market starting to turn around at this point, right in here, that UNH is stronger than the market, and it has, you got a nice buy point right in there, okay, as this market, if you're expecting this market to turn back up. UNH is stronger, and so you would go for the stronger of the stocks on your list. But you can go through all of these stocks fairly quickly. You don't have to have all 30, but it's pretty straightforward thing to do. Now, I believe if we start changing, yeah. So now we've gone from UNH to Apple, but notice the Dow Industrials is still there, is still on the bottom panel, right? It's in. We look at the symbols here on TradeStation, you'll have data 1, and that'll be the first stock that you put in, and that's what we linked to the quote screen, and that's Apple, but that will change. Data 2 is the index, the Dow Jones index, and that's on the bottom. We've got that located on the bottom panel. I mean, you can play with this. You can put, as I said, 50 or more stocks on here if you want to, but it gets hard to read them. I think after about 3, it gets really difficult to read them. But you can certainly do it like this and put it in data 2, and then you can change things around. And so we can go to Microsoft. You can see that that's holding stronger. It's stronger than the market. We can go to Intel, stronger than the market, but doesn't pan out. We can go to Johnson & Johnson, weaker than the market here. But you can see that the Dow stays the same as we change the different stocks around, okay? And you can, if you can go wild with this, you can do whatever you like. You can put put this in on the week. In fact, it's better to put it in on the weekly, but you can stick the Dow Industrials in there. I'll format it again quickly so you can see it. And you don't have to have it different colors. I'm just doing it for illustration purposes. But you can see that now we're in, I'll shift it over to Home Depot, and you can see that the industrials stay the same. You can adjust this. Whoops. You can adjust the, make it about halfway, give or take. You can fiddle with this. You can spend a lot of time fiddling with this. All right, so, yeah, you can. Do you use multi-charts for trading now? I'm starting to, yeah. If you make it global, you can see it in multiple monitors. Yes, that was the thing I was going to say next. And that is that, let's make a new desktop here. That goes onto a different monitor, but you can see that. Let's see if I can make this a little bit smaller. So here we have a completely different desktop, and you can save these. You can file and save the desktop, and so you can have a storage of desktops as well as workspaces in here, or charts as we call them. But so for example, let's say that you wanted the daily chart here. Oh, shoot. That's the problem with workspaces, is that you have to use the menu on that workspace. So we put this on daily, and we want the I just did it again. And we want the let's say we want Weiss wave in here. just put the volume in. Okay, so now this is the S&Ps, but now what we can do is there's a global global symbol link here. So you can do that, and you have to go back here and make this global as well. I think what do you do here? Can you do it with this? I thought you could. What did I do? Hang on a second. So unlink it. Oh, son of a gun. Unlink it. Now global link it. Okay, what's wrong with this? I should be able to link this. I'm not sure why I'm not able to. Huh. That's funny. I'm not sure why. Well, in any event, I'll look, and we can come back to this on Thursday. But the global link will link two desktop stocks together. And I'm not sure why I can't unlink and link. But I'll have to look at that. And then you can have this off on a different monitor, and you can put your WiseWave on, and so on and so forth. Okay, so there's that. Let me also just talk a little bit about, get rid of this symbol. Put the WiseWave in here. He did ask about different open this up a bit. So this is 75 cents, which is the standard that I use for the S&Ps. I probably would go down to a quarter, 25 cents. David uses 10 cents a lot. You can try that, but somewhere between 10 and 25 cents for waves on the stocks. Assuming they're around, $100 to $200 or $300. When they get up higher than that, you can play around with 50 cents. And if you go to weekly, a weekly chart, just do that here. Pick your poison. I'd probably go up to a point or two, a full point or two. Let's try 1 point. Yeah, that starts to look better. Or you could try 75 cents. That might be good too. Play around with it and see what works best for you. But anyway, I hope that explanation is intelligible, and you all get something out of that. You can do a lot with any of these charting packages. I know TradeStation probably the best. But you certainly can put symbols in. You can change them around however you like. And of course, all your indicators like the WiseWave is going to follow that. We'll just look at Cisco here. Oh, I didn't link. So Cisco, and you can see that all the symbols change, and then the WiseWave indicator changes as well. We go down to Nike, and that changes in there, and Verizon, or that's not Verizon, that's Verizon. You can play around with that. And so you can get some, doing this kind of thing, you pick the straw. Let's see, there's some comments here. Do I find that the retracement value needs to be changed for individual stocks? Somewhere between 10 cents and 25 cents is usually pretty good. So now let's go to the daily on Verizon. You're at 50 cents here, probably or $2, that's probably too much. Let's see what 25 looks like. That was probably $25. 0.25. Oh, that's the method, sorry. 0.25. Not bad. Let's see what 10 cents looks like. Probably a little better. So if you're under $100, you might go to 10 cents. If you're over 100, look at, you know, I mean, you can still use 10 cents. Let's say a stock that's over $100. There's Home Depot. You still get, you know, you can still use it. David likes this. I would probably go, you know, I might adjust it a little bit. See, to me, that's a smoother, that's 25 cents. That's a smoother Weiss wave. He likes all the little jiggles and jaggles. I prefer to have more smoothness in my analysis. But, you know, it's up to you how you want to do it. But you can get some really nice, I mean, look at this beautiful retracement here. Let's see what it was looking like on the higher time frames. What was the weekly saying? Yeah, look at that. Beautiful, right? Holding stronger than the market overall. Very light volume coming up, and then you get this kind of activity in here. And this is a good, nice buy spot. And you can do some pretty good stuff with that. And that was a nice trade. It's a case of trial and error. Yeah, a little bit it is. You wanna play around with it and see what, you know. There's no one right way. There's no one right indicator setting. As I said, David likes the smaller scale. I like it a little bit bigger. You can go in between. You might like it, you know, smaller than David or bigger than I do. It's kind of what you're comfortable with. Okay. One way that I use, says Will, as a filter for the strongest stocks in the S&P is to pick the 2 or 3 strongest stocks from the 2 or 3 strongest sectors. Comparing with the index for relative strength helps me. Yes, you can do that. I think if you're just operating off of 10 or 15 stocks, I would just stick probably with the Dow, or, you know, maybe make up the top 10 or 15. And the way you pick those, you know, there's 30 of them here, or you pick 15 off of the S&Ps, right? So you would just go through each one and see how they are acting. You know, I'd be looking at a weekly chart and just see how, let's just run through these quickly. All of these are doing pretty well, but sometimes you'll see stocks that, why is there only a little bit of, like sometimes some stocks don't trade that much. Let's crank this down a little bit. So, you know, if you can change these stocks from time to time too, and so when you're looking at something like this, you know, I look at this for a year's worth of trading in here, and you know, that's not very exciting to me if I were doing this. So I'd drop General Electric and I'd replace it with something else, you know, that's acting better or that's trading better. You have a lot of options there to do that. So you can do that. As somebody said, as Will said, he likes to look at the indexes. So an easy way to do that, let's just set up a different, very quickly here. So I'll just put a couple in that I can think of off the top of my head. XLE is energy. XLF is, whoops, XLE is energy. Well, we don't even need a quote screen, do we? Let's do it this way. So put the SPY up top, insert a symbol. XLE is the energy sector, and XLI is the industrials. We'll plot those three. All on a weekly basis. So you can kind of monitor this. They all do tend to, they're all fairly correlated, right? But if you were looking at this and we were looking here at the SPY at this point, and we thought that the market was going to go up, and we looked at this and we'd say, okay, this is strong, a little bit stronger than the market. So we might now have a list of stocks that are energy related. So ExxonMobil, Schlumberger, Occidental Petroleum, British Petroleum, and so on and so forth. You can do it that way too. So you would look first to see what sector is strongest. And I've only listed 2 of them here. There's a good, you can go crazy with this if you want to, but there's a good 6 or 7. I mean, here's another opportunity to go short here. Right in here, we can see that this is not going higher than the market, and also down here it's not higher. So then we could go to a set of stocks, maybe 4 or 5 stocks in the energy sector, or if we were looking for industrials, it might be United Technologies, and I don't know, I'd have to look at the stocks, but you can go and get stocks that make up these indices, and you do that on spider sectors or sector spiders. I forget what it's called. There's a website that has all of those, and you can do that. All right, so that's a good point. You can do that. Victor says, I got here a little late, just showing really quickly how to mess with settings it up, or was the session going to be mainly this and not market replay? No, it was just how to set this up. Just how to set this up. Somebody had a question about it. Will says, pick the strongest stock in the strongest sector from the strongest index. Yep. We did that. We did the retracement values. Do you know if the Dow can overlay the stock on the same panel? Yes, it can. So, I'll just do this really quick. Format the symbols. So we'll make this one IBM. And we'll make this Dow. And we'll get rid of this altogether. Okay, so this is in subchart 2. So we reformat in industrials here. We go to scaling mode, and we want to put it into subgroup 1. That's all. And still scale it on the right axis. Actually, I would scale it, I think, on the left. I think on the left axis. We'll see here. Let's say I forget. So you can do this. This is not the easiest way to do it, or the best way necessarily, because it will overlap a lot. Let's just see if we have no access. See what that does. Doesn't really help. However, we can do this. We can go to align on close, make it blue, good solid thing here. And you can do something like that if you like. That's a little bit more intelligible. And you can make this align on close too, if you want to. And you can add a bunch of different stocks in here. So this could tell you, you could actually design some coding for yourself, and you can see that here IBM is up above the last high, but SPY is not. So that could alert you, and then you, on a scan kind of basis, and then you go in and you look at the actual chart, and you'd say, well, it's going up pretty strong. I wouldn't necessarily go short there. But if it were, a different kind of situation where here, for example, IBM is not giving us a good rally up, and now the S&Ps are starting to roll over, here might be a good short. Okay, now we've got something a little bit better to short against because the context of the market is good. So don't just use this as a mechanical thing here, even though I suggested you could write some code to do that. It can give you the initial condition, but the structure has to be there for you to take a trade. Okay, might see it better if there's a line graph. Yeah, that's right. So you can do this as a line graph as well, and you can change these all around if you wanted to. I can copy this window. We can paste it into, and just get rid of some of these here. I can paste it into here. Oh, it probably is going to change. Let's see what it changes. And then we make this green. So here's so industrials is in blue. The stock is in black, right? I can make this, let's make it red. Okay, so the stock is in red. You can see that up here. The stock is in red and the index is in blue. Okay. And so here's Cisco. Here's Goldman. Travelers. You can play around with that. And again, once again, the index itself will stay constant, and the stock will change. And you can also adjust this so that you've got the pricing over here, and you can. So, for example, there's all kinds of things you can do. Make price display update indication. So this will give you the last close here, and you can do the same thing over here. Whoops, I must have gotten rid of it. What did I do? All right, well, in any event, you get the idea here. Okay, so, yeah, that's helpful. Okay, good. Hope you're on TradeStation commission. Yeah, well sold. I'm actually not. They've asked me a couple of times if they want me to do it, but I haven't done it. Okay, so that's any questions on this? Let's move on to deep practice here. Okay, good. Glad it was helpful. So I'm going to just close down this workspace, not save it. And this one too. And so we can talk about the current market since that's up, and then we'll get into deep practice here. Current market, last time we met, which was a little more than a week ago, we were looking at this line here around 250. It dipped down just a little bit below that, but went back up and closed. Well, actually, first we suggested that the heading and top in here was going to be around 280, 285. It kind of got up there, but didn't get up there that week. It just continued to go in this sideways kind of thing. Looked like, in fact, there was absorption coming in until this bar here. Okay, so if you were anticipating absorption and you bought one of these 2 days here, this day would tell you, no, it's not going to be absorption, and it was going to come back down and at least retest, maybe go lower. And we had a big day coming down, but there was buying at the end. We suggested that around 250 that the market should hold there, and it did the following week. And now here's where we are. So here's what I see on this. I see pretty strong. We went down and tested here and had pretty good move back up. The monthly is strong in here too. We're getting a little bit of weakness on the daily. I don't see this as a big upthrust. My sense is that they want to come back in and maybe retest this high volume here. Is that right? Yeah, that's right. And so what I'd be looking for would be, oh, for goodness sakes, really around 170. I don't even think it's going to come. I don't want to see it come back deep into this. There's a bit of a trading range here, right? The lows down here, well, truthfully down here, and the high of this range is up in here, but we had this should be support after all that trading. So if we come back down in here, I don't anticipate, we may dip down a little bit, but I would expect it to close back up above this 2170, about 2170 level. I don't want to see a close go much lower than that. If that starts to happen, if we, if the next day or two we get a bar that closes like this, then we're back in the middle of the trading range, and it's got a right then to go back down to the bottom of the trading range and test that out again. Okay, so I don't expect that to happen. I would anticipate that the market dips into this area and closes up in here, and then we're going to push on up higher. But if it doesn't do what I anticipate and it closes back into the range, then we have a right to go back down to the bottom. But I don't anticipate that. Okay, but you just have to keep that in the back of your mind. If it does, then this would be off. And I would say that the upside next week sometime is something above 190. Yeah, up in here. I would say we would push up into that level. See if we can't get up into there. And that's how I see that. Any questions about that? We've not had a great liftoff. Not on the daily, but we're still pretty strong on the weekly so far. So we'll see what happens. Closing back inside the trading range is obviously a problem. If it closes back inside this range, down below 2170, then we're going to at least come back down to potentially retest the 250 to 240 level in here. So we can put that in, if you like, down in here, if that does happen, okay? If we get a close. All right? but this market still looks pretty strong. There's no, the earnings have been decent. There's nothing out there that's creating any problems. I just don't see any big sell-off at the moment, anyway, and no indications that we have, a sell-off coming. I mean, look at where we are today. Just look at the last couple of sell-offs. We have a modest one here. Look at that bar here. This is the weekly. This was a bigger sell-off. Look at this bar, preceded by 2 weeks of going nowhere. So we went nowhere. We dipped underneath and closed firm. I think they're going to maybe want to try to retest that a little bit, but if that test is successful, then more upside. If not, then we have a chance to go down back into the trading range, but I don't see that happening right now. But we'll see. I could be wrong about that. Okay, any questions on that? That's my take on the current market. If we do come back down into here, then I think we're going to go lower, by the way, because we've already flushed out this trading range. So there's this in here. So if we revisit this, that's not a good sign. We'd be looking for short opportunities on any kind of weak bounce back up. But I don't foresee that right now. Okay, so let's go back to the second member question and get into deep practice. So another person wrote in and said, an important issue for me is where to determine the high and the low of the day in the beginning of the trading day. Should I look for it only after the U.S. session opens, or do I take the Globex session into consideration? Well, you want to take the Globex into consideration as well. Don't use just day-only data. That doesn't work very well these days. When I'm making my trading plan at the end of the day, and for example, based on my analysis, I expect the market to go higher the following day, I look out for the market to make a low first. Often the market indeed makes a reaction in the Globex session, puts in a low, and then rallies. Yeah, it's frustrating, isn't it? So far, my analysis seems correct, but the market first made a low. Now I expect higher prices for that day. But then after the U.S. session is open, the market puts in a high and keeps coming back and descends below the Globex low. The rest of the trading day, the market stays under the high. So in fact, that day the market made the high first. It did in the U.S. session, but it didn't in the Globex session. That's right. With trending days, the situation is usually clear, but on other days I have an issue placing the high and low as they occur in the beginning of the trading day. At the end of the day, of course, it looks easy, doesn't it always? An example of such a trading day occurred on July 15th, 2016 in the ES, and I think this person was saying that he was looking for the low to be made first and for the market to go up that day. I must have cut his comments a little short there. So I thought it'd be a good idea to take a look at that day. And we will. But before we get to this, let's look at, this is the day before. This is July 14th in the S&Ps. So what do we notice here? What do we see here? And what would our game, let's play this out. As he said, he had trouble this day. I think he was anticipating higher prices. What would our game plan be, and what would we be looking for in this market? How would we approach this, and what would we be anticipating here? What do you got? What do you all see here? Dean says after the low, there's been a lengthy rally, so I would expect a retracement. Okay. But if we're going to play this out on tomorrow's intraday, what would we just anticipate from this chart alone here? What would we be looking for? Brian says large shakeout in the background on high volume leads to a large rally with a jump across the creek. Yeah. You do that in here. And there's that creek. Whoops. Don't want that. Oh, get rid of this. I wanted this. Yeah, here's the creek and it jumps pretty well, right? But it's on light volume, showing strength and a lack of supply. However, the last day closed in the middle on a pickup in volume, and the rally's been going for a long time, so looking for a possible weak rally to get short intraday unless I see no supply on a weak pullback. Okay, good observation there. If we look at this and analyze this, I'm trying to, as we're talking here, I'm trying to find this person's email, and I bet I don't have it on this machine. Son of a gun. Yeah, I don't have it. Okay, I'm almost positive he said he went long, or was looking to go long. And so, as Brian says, we get a little pickup in volume here, and the last day closes off the high. We've been going up for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 days in a row. That's a lot, right? And notice that we have this clustering of we have double closes in here and a narrow range day. And then this day comes up, not quite a selling climax, but it gives you that flavor of some climactic action, right? We went sideways for 2 days, and then we push up and then close pretty poorly. Mid-close with slightly increased volume, but spread also wider, and you have bullishness behind you, right? But as we say, we've been going up for a while, so we have to be cautious about that. I expect maybe sideways or small correction, then more bullishness. Yeah, I wouldn't say that this was going to turn the market and we're going to go down. We're just looking at trading tomorrow. But what we see here after several days up, and then we get a negative in here, and we haven't had a pullback yet, that the odds are beginning to favor that we're either going to go sideways or maybe start to go down a little bit. Test out maybe this last high in the next couple of days, maybe even come down and test this, break out or jump across the creek. That'll be several days, but the market has to start to roll over and turn down. I wouldn't anticipate this to be a strong move down because you've got such strength in the background. But these last 3 days here are beginning to show that buyers are having trouble pushing the market up, and we could easily start to see some downside in the next day or two. So we'd be aware of that. The last bar does not look very strong. I'd look for a short scalp, says Dwayne. Yep. The market closed in the middle, as I would expect a move up to test the high and then a move down. Yeah, so we can take a look and see what the high is here. Just bring this window down. So the high of that day was 2168. and the low was 21.42, right? 21.42 and 3/4. So close that off. Now, we might still be thinking, though, as this person was thinking, that the market's pretty bullish, and there is we want to try to, this isn't really that big a deal because I don't see a lot of volume coming out. Maybe what I want to do is I want to look for a pullback, perhaps into. I'm just talking off the top of my head, trying to think about what somebody might think. Maybe down into here, which is the 2150 level. There's a nice round number. So around 2150, maybe I want to try to go long. That would be maybe my game plan for the day, because we did have a wider spread up and so on and so forth. Well, let's take a look. One of the things to do when we're not clear, and we should always be doing this anyway, is to take a look at the intraday for that day. Try to do this without screwing this up. So here we are, and as we're doing this, we can put in yesterday's high and low. Looking at this in here, what do we see? What do you all see here? And we'll just I'll mark where the day session starts. Well, you can see it with the volume, right? It's right in here. Here's the first hour right here. So that's the S&Ps of that day. Oh, I can't do that, can I? Okay, well, in any event, you get the idea. So what do we see here? What do we see? High volume bars all close poorly. Yeah, what does that mean? Price struggles at 2160 up in here. Well, forget about where we are now. But in here, really I guess it's 2160. Yeah, okay, 2162. It's having difficulty going higher, right? As we come down, you can see the high volume in here, and the closes are all poor, and it pushes the market down. Okay? So supply came in to the market yesterday. Didn't push it down all that far, but that's what caused this close over here. Okay, that's what caused this close. Right in here. All of this got traded in here. So we only were up here for a very brief period of time, and then all the volume came into the downside. Brian says, looks like we got a bit climactic. That's what I was trying to say earlier. Yep, the intraday suggests a little bit of climactic action here early in the session, or early in the Globex session. And then a choppy move lower, so anticipate attempt to rally into the supply area. Yep. Numerous down bars, and all those numerous down bars have decent volume on them. It's having trouble. Weak closes, says Will, appears to be stepped on. Supply was in control for that day. Yeah. Market wants to start to try to go down. To me, price is struggling to go lower on all that volume, however. Yes, if we had good volume coming to the upside, I would agree with you. But we don't really have that because it all occurs in light volume trading. So the heavier volume is coming down. It could be effort to go down and people are buying it, but the context here suggests that that's probably less likely, right? If we were if we were just pulling out of this trading range in here, like right in here, and we were pulling back in here and we had all that volume, but we weren't coming down all that much, I would say, yeah, that's probably effort to go down, not much result coming, even though we have poor closes. I would anticipate another flush the next day, and then look to and see if that flush down is light volume, and then see if we can't start going higher. But we have support in the background, right? And we've got good movement off here of that. So in that context, I would agree with you. However, we're way up in here, and this context is different. We're not really, there's nothing really to buy against. There's no reason for effort to go down, but no result to occur up in here. Because we're at high price, we're at new highs on this in this market. And so that would suggest that's a context where supply would be more likely than effort to go down. Okay. We are making lower high and lower lows, although small. Price action speaks. Yeah, I wouldn't concentrate too much on those, on that idea yet. So let's just see. I'll put this in here and in here. Actually, I would have. Yeah, it's good enough. Yesterday's low that's close enough. Looks like it's 68. I'll just leave it because it's not that important. Okay, so that's the hourly. And then all we've done is go sideways all night long. Okay? And now it's about 8 o'clock in the morning in the before the morning session. So I'm gonna let's see. We've got the daily highs and lows marked off. And so try to do this with all 3 of these. So just taking a look at this on the 5-minute, thank you. It's kind of hard to do this like this. Okay, so I would draw this line in there and say, okay, we're breaking up above that now. All right, you can probably see it better on the 15-minute. Same line. And on the 15-minute, we're making higher low and higher high. So we would anticipate this market to continue to go up. Okay? But we'll play it here on the 5-minute chart and see how it works out here. So let's see what this does. And I have the Weiss wave on this. So we can use that. And just anticipate, let's use this as deep practice and look for an opportunity to trade, okay, or to make trades. Notice that we are right around yesterday's close. We had dipped down underneath and we're still trading right around yesterday's close. No real progress going through there, right? So we hit that level or just above it, kind of had typical kind of pre-market, or what I call pre-market, pre-US Open here. Kind of just do one of these things here, holding in here, dip down a little bit, and then pop right up. Nothing to do here, really. There's no real trade in there. Nothing to get excited about at all. Do this. that's a little bit better. You can see it a little bit better. Not much volume came in. Everything is consistent with what we know, right? Everything is quite consistent with what we know in terms of trading here. And I can say to myself, I can see here on the 5-minute chart, I've got higher lows and higher highs coming in, and I can put in, son of a gun, I can put in a trend channel in here. So we're pushing up above that, but still making higher highs and higher lows and still getting good volume coming in. Maybe that's a little climactic, but I would probably do something more like this. That might be a little bit better for us. Let's see how it works out. Keep an eye on the daily. We're not still in the middle of yesterday's range there, trying to push this market up. So if we were trying to make lows first, we wouldn't be doing it, right? We've already made the lows, as this person said. And so now the market, and this person was anticipating going higher, but as we looked carefully at the market, we're thinking about the market going lower. So now it's coming into the US session and potentially going to make highs first, right? And we're quietly waiting here. And as we do, we see the volume to the upside starts to drop off. Okay. We're 10 or 15 minutes from the US Open here. And we will see the volume jump when that occurs, when that comes in, or we should see the volume jump when it comes in. There it is. There's the US Open. Okay. Can adjust this trend line just a little bit. Put it up into here. So what are you seeing here? Supply, right? Effort with no real result. We're right at the top of this little trend channel that's been going on for the last several hours, last 2 or 3 hours. And the US Open, first 10 minutes of the Open comes in here. We get very high volume and it goes nowhere. So Brian says, sell it. And Dean says, we're overbought. Edmund says, effort with no result. Brian says sell at high volume, overbought and failing to push through into an area of previous supply, so short it. Yeah, if we go back to our hourly chart, here's where the supply came in, right in here, right? And we're right into that area now. There's the supply right there. And we're right back into that area. So, and also think about this. If this were going up with all of this volume, how come we haven't hit yesterday's high? Why are we dying here? It has to be weak, and the answer is partly in the hourly chart. So this is where we want to take a short. Okay, this is highs being made first with weakness in the background. Potentially highs being made first with weakness in the background. This is where we want to take that position. Okay, somewhere in here. Now I need to adjust this because now we're in. And the question is it going to break this trend line? Well, with all that volume coming in, most likely it will. We're still have a lot of volume there. So we want to hold this in here. All right? So let me bring your attention over to the 15-minute, the first two 15-minute bars here. Large, good move up, but look at the second bar coming down. And look at the volume on that. It dwarfs the first move up. So that's all supply in there. That's all supply in there. And we want to be able to short that. And we did. We want to get short in there if we haven't been short. And this kind of choppy moving back and forth in here with no ability to push off and breaking the trend line, that's negative. It's all very negative in here. And the ice wave flipping back and forth here, trying to figure out what's this market going to do. Now, so you might be sitting here thinking, okay, this is like effort versus result, right? The market is got a lot of volume in here and it doesn't go anywhere. So it must be some strength coming in. Well, again, look at the 15-minute charts. Look at the 15-minute bars, rather. We have two pretty good volume bars here with no ability to rally that market. And look at the hourly chart. We're now at 10:30 or why is that given that kind of bar there? Well, we're coming into 10:30 and we have the first hour being very negative with high volume. The hourly is a good friend to use trading the S&Ps, trading all markets, but particularly the S&Ps intraday. Notice that as it tries to rally up, look at what happens to it. It just gets swamped again, even though the Weiss wave is flipping back and forth here. That's all downside volume, really. Hourly is the key on this chart. It's pulling the 5-minute and advising of the supply areas. Yeah, and the 15 is pretty good too. Okay, so now we're trying to hold in here, and if we go back in time, look at where we are. We're back on top of this support level, right? We're back on top of this little support level here. Now, what do you notice? Besides the high volume, the heavy volume, what else do you notice here about what this market's been doing since 4:30 in the morning? What's the retracement on the 5-minute? I think it's 3/4. Yeah, 3/4 of a point. You could use either a point or 3/4 of a point, either one. What do you see here? Yep. Up waves are big. Well, the up waves were still bigger, but not now. They're not bigger than the down wave, right? Down wave is much larger than all the previous ones. The wave structure is changing. That's right. The wave structure is changing. Everybody see that? Everybody see that okay? Okay, good. So even though we came into support, we know there's downside and we got volume coming into the downside. So we are alert to the fact that there's supply coming into the market, both in terms of volume and wave and inability to rally up above the high in here once it got overbought because of the supply in the background from yesterday. And notice all this trading and we still haven't cleared yesterday's close, right? So now what are we going to be looking for here? What's the play? Yeah, a weak rally to put in a lower high. That's right. So notice what we've got going on here is a little bit of a rally here. Take a look at the volume coming in. Whoops. Add to the short in here. Yeah, I think you're right. Anywhere in there is fine. Look at every time it tries to rally up, it gets swamped and it closes poorly, right? Every single time. And look at the 15-minute chart right here. It's not a classic no demand, but look at the volume there. There's just no ability to rally this market off and away from the danger point. And so as we approach this line again, it's doing so with such strong price moves that we are likely to see this break. So we would hold this. Okay, and now that it's broken, we want to lay in a trend line here because now we've gone below the low. So give ourselves a little heads up for how this market trades. We're a good location maybe to exit out. But now notice this line here is roughly the close of yesterday. Okay? And so are we going to be able to keep going down below? spreads on the downside and the 15-minute chart are much larger, yeah, it's telling you to stay with this trade and not get out of it, at least not quite yet. Okay. Now we're coming down to being oversold, but look at what we've got on both the hourly and the 15-minute, and we're down below yesterday's close. So isn't it fair to assume that we're going to go down and test the low that was put in down here, at least on the overnight? I would think it would be. All right, so we would try to hold this trade for a bit. So far, no real ability to rally this. Well, maybe we will this time. No, look at these 5-minute bars here. I don't know, is this too, maybe I'll open it up just a little bit. There's no way that this is going to rally off, right? There's just no rally in here. No ability to push this market up. Now, what do we notice on the 15-minute chart? Some shortening of the thrust, right? So we want to be aware of this. The 60 is still showing us strength. We've just broken down, well, not quite, but we've got this line down here. I think this is the low of the Globex session. Oh, come on. Still I'm not used to this. For some reason, multi-charts only want you to do one thing at a time. So that would be a pretty good target in there, right? We're hanging in here on the 5-minute, and thinking about 150, 150. There we go. There's our exit point right in here. Okay, that would be what I would do is to get out of there a little bit ahead of that. So let's say 252, and now notice what happens. We get a little pop up here, and we would be out of this trade, okay? But not a bad little trade. Let's just recap this a second. We see this market make a low in the Globex. Yes, it does. And then it rallies up. But because we noticed that there was supply in the market before yesterday, and not really an opportunity to go, not really the time to be going long here, we get into we have to pay attention to the intraday structure as much as the daily structure. And when the intraday structure gives us the market tipping its hand, as it does in here, to go short, this is where we want to do that. So we go short in here at, at 62. We hold through this. Kind of painful to go through all of this. It's not really doing anything all that great. We add to it around, I don't know, somewhere's in here, 59, say. So 62 and 59 is an average of 60 and a half, and we come down here and we're out of this. What do we say? Right above 52. So 50, call it 50. Wait a minute, what was this level here? Yeah, call it 52. So, out of these two, we got several points out of this. Really nice trades and pretty easy to do. What did we see in this trading? We saw the down wave got larger. But first of all, we see it get overbought. Then we see down wave get larger, so it confirms that we've got a good trade. Then we see a weak rally up on light volume, and we short anywhere in here. It doesn't matter where we short on a weak rally like that. We don't have to pick you don't want tickitis here. You want to just get in when the market's doing this. And because of all this volume that was there, the market drives down and we get a nice 8, 9, 10 point trade out of the whole thing. Even if you didn't get in until here, you still got a nice trade out of this. This is a fine trading day, just on the lower leg. Right? So maybe this is considered a little bit risky because people think it's hard to trade right off the open. It shouldn't be. You shouldn't feel it's hard to trade. If the market tells you, if the chart tells you to short it, then go short in the first 10 minutes. And then you get confirmation of that, and then another opportunity to go short again. Okay? Let's play this day out. So we have on the hourly, on the 15-minute chart, still some downside there, right? Some pretty good downside, although look at the clustering of closes, assuming that this 15-minute chart closes like this. I don't know that it's gonna, because we haven't finished it yet. Let's see what happens. Let's play it out a little bit more and see what happens. Oh, maybe it's going to go lower. Maybe we got out too soon. It's still weak on the 15-minute over here. So we probably did get out too soon. But let's see if it'll go down a little lower. No volume in here on this leg down. Not enough to go long, right? Don't be thinking that. And look at the 15-minute is just kind of hanging in here a bit. And we're not seeing volume coming in. We're coming into the noon hour. But more downside. So we got out a little early, but so what? Who cares? Can extend this a little bit. And do the same thing here. So now we're oversold again here. And look at the 15-minute chart. What's it telling us? And what's the hourly chart telling us? 15 minutes saying that there's buying coming in. Hourly chart saying shortening of this thrust. It's noon time. Typical time for the market to have a counter trend, right? Some buying has emerged. And look at the volume down in here. Look at the volume now down in here. We've made a new low on the day, so you've got to be cautious about this, but you can indeed take a long trade in here. But you want to be aware that this could not play out all that well. We might not get much out of it, right? Increase in volume, but some buying coming in, says Brian. We're at the 3-day high back over here, right? 3-day high in a strong uptrend on the daily, may not get much more downside, right? So for all those reasons, we can look to go long in there and see what happens. And if we get closes, here's the way I would play this. We go long. We're long at whatever the close was here, 2150. Let's call it 2150 and a half. Okay, so the low here is 48 and 49. So we're any close below 49 and I want to be out of here. Okay, any close below that and I want out. I wouldn't stay. That's my line in the sand. So that's a couple of points down from there. Well, let's just see what happens. Coming back to that level, the overnight low in here. Notice that the hourly is got shortening of the thrust on it, suggesting that buying has come in, and maybe for the time being that the that rally is, or that sell-off is over. Pushing up here, more volume to the coming in to the upside. Now the question is, can it break this, or is it going to get? This is, we watch very carefully what the market is going to do right in this area. What's it going to do? Okay. And it pushes above, right? It pushes above and is firm in here. And look at the 15 doing the same thing. So the market still got some strength. We would stay with this position. Okay? You understand what I'm saying? If we started to see bars that were negative, like a bar like this, I'm looking at this bar here. I'll call this A. If A looked like B in here, or even C, or D, or E, any of these bars, we'd be out of this trade. But it doesn't. It holds up. So we stick with it. Okay? We want to monitor as we go along here. So we get a little test in there, maybe a little bit more. Now, what do you notice? What do you notice here? The wave structure. Yeah, the wave structure is changing, right? The wave structure is changing. We got the biggest up wave going on and the biggest upside volume. So now if that's the case, and this market wants to go higher, what would our potential be for this? We want a weak reaction now. Yep, assuming we get a weak reaction, assuming this continues, where is the logical spot that this market is going to end up? Where is the logical spot that it's going to die off? 2157. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Why is that? Well, it's become an access line, right? This thing has now become an access line where the market found resistance here and here in Globex, then support, broke down through, and now if it comes back to this level, what do we want to do there? Short it, you bet. I mean, that's a no-brainer, right? Look at, why would we short it? Because of all the volume that exists around this area. That also happens to be the close of yesterday, right? So we would look for a short in that spot. Unless, of course, the market really takes off and starts driving up through, which is always possible. The market can do what it's going to do, right? But right now, we just want to be thinking about, we could just sit on our hands and do nothing as long as the market doesn't start taking off. That's our trade. And look at the 15-minute chart. Is it telling us that we've got a strong market in here? Not really. So now we're getting some negative market action here. And the question is this going to be sort of a mini little spring? What time is it now? It's 2:30 in the afternoon. Or are we going to resume our downside, right? So maybe that would be enough to scare us out of this trade. Let's just assume we did get out of this trade. We got in around 21.50 and we're out at 2. So we got 2 points. It was kind of a worthless trade. So let's see if it breaks this and then starts heading down. Nope, guess not. It's going to looks like it's going to try to rally up higher. Or maybe just go sideways for the rest of the day and we don't get a chance to trade, right? That's possible. Well, now a little bit of momentum's coming in. Keep your eye on the higher time frames as we approach this. Can I extend this right? Extend right. Yes. What's the higher time frames telling us? Look at the hourly. No real ability to rally up here. You can see it on the 5-minute too, but the hourly is really telling us, gee, this is like not very strong market in here. So you might have jumped the gun here and you said, okay, I'm going to short in this. There's no real structure for it, but, there's a lot of negativity going on there, right? So, okay, so we short that. And we short it at, what's this level? 21.50, 21.54 and a quarter. That's fine. 15-minute high volume bar suggests supply. Yep, right in here. So maybe that short's a good one. No, then we'd have to get out of that here, okay? We'd have to get out at this point. And so we got in at 54 and a quarter and we're out at 55 and a quarter. We're down a point. The lows are lifting on the hourly chart. Yeah, they are. So this market could push up and start driving up through this because the lows are lifting here and we're starting to see some movement up in here. We can put in a trend line. Do it here. It's actually is probably a little bit cleaner because there's more data. Yeah, so look where that trend line occurs, right? So what do we see here? Clustering of closes, no real strength in the volume. Volume's coming in on the 15-minute as we're coming down, and the hourly is showing no movement to the upside. Short this thing right in here. 21.55 and 3/4. 21.55 and a half, call it. Or 21.55 and a quarter. With a stop above at 21.58, a 3-point stop. Okay? Look at the 15-minute chart. Look at that price bar there. Well, let's look at it a little more carefully. You can do this. I mean, it's the same thing. Right? That's negativity coming in. Where is it coming in? Right at our access line and right in here where it broke down. After all of this, what we thought might be effort versus result, it breaks down. So for all those reasons, now notice it doesn't matter whether the high was made first or last. What we're doing is we're trading this on the intraday structure with our understanding of supply and demand and just using basic trend lines. We don't have to go crazy with this. Okay, we need to get underneath this, right? And it looks like we're going to do that here, and we did. Now we need to break this. Not getting a lot of downside volume in here yet. And it's getting late in the day. What time is it? Oh, it's 4 o'clock. So we might, well, we have 4:15, I think, is. Negativity coming in. There's 4:10. Oh, what happened? So we would hang on to this, even though we're coming in maybe a little bit later. Look at the 15-minute chart. Just negativity there, and look at it finally goes. And so we exit out in here somewhere from roughly 56 down to 47, another 8 or 9 points in this trade. Okay, we had to spend a little bit more time holding. Maybe we didn't hold it all that long. Who knows? But so assessing the daily correctly and looking at the hourly and all of the stuff that we did gave us a good shot at understanding what this market was likely to do. Even if this is a difficult trade to take, let's say you didn't take that, you had to take this. I mean, this was pretty much a no-brainer because of the larger down wave, larger downside volume in here. And so you got, a good 6 or 7 points in here, which is fine for the day. You don't have to do any more. Forget this trade. It's not a big deal. So we took this trade and lost a point. And then we have to take this in here. It's just, the structure is just too, and even if you don't hold it all the way, you got 6 points minus 1.5 and another, 3 points out of this. Or 3 or 4, say 3 points out of this. So you got 7 points on the day. That's a nice day of trading. That's a very nice day of trading. And if you, held it longer, into the overnight hours, you would have had quite a good day. And if you were aggressive and played this up in here, you would have, had excellent trading for the day. But you still got very good trading, just trading these two locations here and here, and even if you closed it in here. Have to ever use line charts. What does that mean, Scott? Sorry. Before the US session, why on the backup on the way up. You said there was no trade there. Couldn't you go long? Oh, in here you could go long, but it's a little difficult to do because you know, is it going to flush down below here? That would have been my thought. You had some supply come in here. You could have gone long in here. I don't like. I'm not a big fan of this kind of a setup, but you could certainly do that. You certainly could. You had enough momentum going behind you, so and kind of a weak pullback, definitely a weak pullback. So yeah, you could. Just would not be a trade I would take. Being honest with myself, I would only trade 2 and 4 setups, but they are very fruitful. Yeah, and that's fine. You don't have to trade, you know, dozens of times during the day. I mean, look at this. This is a beautiful little setup in here, right in here. Even if you just traded this, you'd do okay. Could you go over the demand supply reasons for the last short? The last short is at an access level, and it was being rejected there. This purple line is an access line where we were trading around that all day, and it happens to be close to yesterday's close. And we come up here, we get clustering of closes, then we get negativity. And if we look on the 15-minute chart at that point, we have heavy volume come in right here. You can go back to that. One of the cool things you can do with this is you can go backwards too. Sometimes I overshoot it, but so look at where we are here, right here, and we just shorted this. Okay, you can play around with this if you want to. I don't think it matters, truthfully, but if you wanted to wait until a little bit of a pull back into here, you could get another half a point or so out of it. But I'm just, so it rallies up here. Here you go. You short it here, right here, right? Because you've got this negativity on the 15-minute chart coming in. So you short that right here on the high as people are buying it, or somewhere in there. And that's the reason for that. Take the high probability trades, yeah. So line charts for primary structure analysis and then bars for entry. I would say line charts, primary structure would be line charts, waves, and supply or demand. Clear evidence of supply or demand, which we're going to always see with, strong price action like this right here. Okay, so that's structure to me. And when we come back over into that area, that's what I'm looking for. Are we going to go through that, or are we going to reject, or our price is going to reject? And price is rejected firmly on that volume and on that price action. And there's plenty of opportunity to get short at that point. And also it happened to be, lines. We have that access line that comes through here. Come on. I mean, it's all pretty straightforward stuff. Have that access line. It's the top of the trend channel. This has not been a stellar move up. We can see it on the 5-minute chart. We can see it in particular on the 60-minute chart. Lows are lifting, supports are lifting. So maybe we're going to rock it up, but no, we're not. Not when the 15-minute does this. Okay. And then the bars for entry. Yes, you always use the price action for entry. Always use the price action for entry. Lean on TradeStation to get this higher time frame, lower time frame multi-chart. Yeah, I know it. So you're not on two software packages. Yeah, I'm gonna, at some point I'll probably just shift over all the way to multi-charts. I have to find a decent data feed for it. But yeah, I'm thinking in relation for daily analysis and then bars for entry. Yeah, that's right. The daily really set us up to be looking for short opportunities, and that's how this day plays out, right? Let's just play this. I know I'm taking everybody over, sorry, but it's a good question. Let's say we were looking at this. We were coming into the market for this day. Let's see what this looks like. I haven't looked at this day. But let's just see what that day looks like over here. That's the down day. Oh, wait a minute. That's the down day. Oh, look at this. This is kind of interesting. If you were trading this, it's not easy to trade there. But we make this high, we rally up, and then look at the supply that comes in here and no ability to rally. So we would be looking for short opportunities in here. Here the high is made first, clearly, and then supply comes in. Here we have real effort to go up, but look at the context here. The context is that we're starting to move ourselves down, lower highs in here, right? I don't know if we've quite made a lower low, but let's just say we've made an equal low. So we have what looks to be supply come in, and now we have volume in here come in, and the market starts to roll over. That volume should have taken this market up above this level, or try to take the market up above the level, but it doesn't do that. So the context is always important when we're looking at effort versus result. I love doing deliberate practice with multi-charts. Yeah, it really is good. The multi-time frame view with everything updating intrabar is superb practice tool. I'm doing it too, and I find it incredibly good. Also, being able to see the intrabar volume right at the open is incredibly useful. Yeah, and what I've been doing lately is getting up early, and getting down here at 6 o'clock, and doing an hour or two of my own deep practice. And boy, does that set you up nicely for trading during the day. It really primes the pump, so to speak, and gets you right in the mood for trading. You are coming in not only fresh, but you just had a good practice session, so you're really sharp. What data feed am I using on multi-charts? I'm just using TradeStation. I'm sort of piggybacking off of TradeStation and getting multi-charts to work off of that. Brian says, I do 30 minutes before the market to get the right frame of mind. It's amazing how well that does do that. Do you have to fund an account with multi-charts to carry out this practice? No, you don't. In fact, multi-charts is not a broker. You would have to get a broker, like with interactive brokers, or there's a lot of brokerages out there. Infinity is another one, and they have a you can trade right off of the chart. I'm not set up for it, but you can, if you're set up for it's pretty easy from what I understand. If you're set up for it in multi-charts, you go through Interactive Brokers or Infinity or one of those. You can trade right off of the charts. Kind of nice feature. But I'm not going to do that quite yet. I'm still getting used to multi-charts. I'm slow at this stuff. Okay, did I get CQG is excellent data feed for multi-charts? Yeah, CQG is good. And there's another one, IQ feed, I think is also very good. What does CQG cost for you, Dan? Do you know? Used to be very expensive. I used to use CQG. I was paying like $700 a month for data and charting way back. And I stopped that real quick. Okay. Any last questions on this? This was a good chart. It was a good question that came in. But I think what happened was you kind of set yourself up thinking the market was going to continue to go higher when supply was really coming into the market. And you can really see it in here. When we compress down the data a little bit, you can see on the daily, you've got more volume coming in, and that resulted in negativity. And then when we looked at the hourly chart, again, what we saw there was the whole day was down. The whole trading day here, the U.S. session was just negative. And we came back up into that area and we couldn't get through it. And of course, that's going to push us right back down. And we want to use the intraday structure. That's really important, because the daily is more crude. It's more gross. It gives us an indication. It gives us a direction. Okay, in the game plan. But really what we want to use is the intraday structure to trade against. Okay, let's see. Last couple of questions here, and then we'll call it a night. It still is expensive, yeah, but you get it for free through NinjaTrader. That's good. Through AMP is free as well. You can also try DTIQ. Yeah, DTIQ. I've used that in the past on a different charting platform, and I really like that data. I may go back to that with this. That would probably be around $100 a month. It's not that expensive. Through AMP trading is free. Interesting. Okay. So, yeah, I probably will have to migrate at some point out of TradeStation and into those, but I haven't made that decision yet. So, everybody, I'd like to be able to say have a great weekend, but it's only Tuesday, and we're going to meet again on Thursday in 2 nights. And so we will pick up with this again on Thursday night, normal time. And I will see you all then. Have a great couple of days trading, and I'll see you Thursday night. Okay, everybody. Thanks a lot. Good night now. Bye-bye.